unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If I learned one thing from this great game of baseball, it's that she'll humble you. You think you've got it figured out, you check the standings, and you're in last place again. I'm Eric Rubino, Fantasy Baseball GM, and I can put my team in position to win every single time, but I can't play the games, people. At least Progressive's Name Your Price tool has options based on my budget. It never lets me down, unlike my pitching staff. Amateurs!
Get options based on your budget with Progressive, even if you're not a legend in your own mind. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan. It's unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
All right, it's Monday. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
It's 420. I'm 420, dude.
Oh, that's right. The 420th 420.
Yeah, wrong podcast. But, yeah. Well, speaking of grass, I'm on my lawn today. And despite what the media pictures being painted in the rest of the country, the sheriff didn't show up. I was not put in cuffs. I do not have an arraignment scheduled.
Right, you didn't have some Whitmer Nazis tackle you to the ground?
For a split second. And it mainly just because of the culture we live in right now. I worried about someone, like, tattling on me. Like, oh, this guy's mowing his lawn. Yeah. But then I took another slug of whiskey, and that went away.
Yeah. Well, because we're all those old people that are looking out our windows going, what are they doing out there?
Yeah.
Right? Every time somebody's outside, what are they doing? Are they going to the store? That better be essential.
Yeah. Well, trust me, at this point, too, I've been putting it off for a while. It's almost May. You know, but it got to, even when Mandy was saying something about it, too, and I was like, yeah, it's time. You know, there's already one asshole who did it. I remember in December, around Christmas, it was like, remember Christmas week, it was like 60 for like a day? Some asshole mowed his lawn then. I remember that.
What a jerk.
I remember specifically yelling at my wife, like, is this person serious? I was like, listen. And she was like, oh my God. I was like, yes, there's a lawnmower going. But, you know, today, like, it was like, fine. It was that time. So I did it. And yeah, like, we're not living in a police state. I don't get, like, cause we're seeing all these other protests sprout up too across the country. Yes. I've been able to go wherever I've wanted, whenever I've wanted, buy whatever I've wanted. I don't understand this, like, is riled up whitey? Just you need something to do? You're stuck in the house? Cause too, if you, all those, a lot of white faces at these protests. No, not exactly a lot of POCs showing up to these things.
Right, which is why the idea of flying a swastika around is probably not the best idea.
Yeah.
And I understand that they were doing this they were trying to portray Whitmer here in Michigan as a Nazi. They were flying swastikas saying that her tactics are Nazi-like. Which, I mean, these are the same people like... These are the same people that are saying that liberals are unhinged because they are comparing Trump to a Nazi.
I don't.
But okay, so the hyperbole is okay when it's your enemy and not ours.
Yeah, monkey see, monkey do. But, whatever excuse you'll use.
The flying of a swastika is just not a good look. Just don't do it.
Yeah,
like you really have to go full on like performance art if you're going to do a type of protest where you're going to present yourself as a Nazi in order to illustrate that somebody else is acting like a Nazi.
Yeah.
Because if you don't make it exaggerated and clearly obvious, you just look like a Nazi.
And then Trump, he knows, you know what's funny is my wife has been watching the news and watching Trump daily, and you know how far to the left she is politically, and her general reaction to him, and he's doing it again with these liberate tweets, is this guy knows what he's doing. Like, she doesn't get pissed off. She doesn't get riled up. She just watches him and goes, wow, this guy just knows what he's fucking doing. Like, and
well, yeah, he gets his cake and eat it too. He gets to go out and be the calming presence with all the scientists and sane-minded people talking about what we're doing. And then he gets on Twitter and stirs shit up again.
But he is the king of solving problems he caused. And then being like, hey, look, I did it, everybody. I fixed it. what the problem you caused, but his base eats it up. I don't get it. Like, just watching him do it again with these tweets. Like, stop it. I don't want to be in the house till August. Stop riling up the white people.
Yeah, and that's what most, they polled people over the weekend about reopening the economy, and the majority of people in America, their biggest fear is moving too soon and having to go through all this again.
Yeah.
Right? This is...
But to me, though, like, do you know what the statistics are in that? The ones I saw said it's 60-40. That is way too close to even for me.
Yeah, it is still, it's a hardy majority, but
that means
it's still scary that there's 40% of the country.
Means if I go to the Walgreens in the corner, 10 of us are in there, 4 of those motherfuckers are these people.
But here's the thing.
No!
that 40%, that also clearly lines up with Trump's approval numbers. Around the 40%.
But that's where it's been the whole time, though. It's just varying degrees. Sometimes it's 38, sometimes it gets 48.
No. What I'm saying is that trust is clearly divided down party lines. That 40% of people who are saying, yes, let's open up the economy, are the same 40% who are consistently saying that Trump is doing a good job.
Oh, is not wearing a mask the new MAGA hat?
You would think, but even at the protest, some people were wearing masks. I mean, there was a person that was full on dressed head to toe in like a hazmat suit, saying that coronavirus is a lie. Like, you need to make up your mind. Your messaging is not clear.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Rich would say it's probably the same person they'll tell you to get their government hands off my Medicaid. Same person.
Yeah. Well, the mistake if they wanted to be taken seriously on this issue and not be assumed that they're just doing this to defend their president, you would have left the MAGA hats at home, right?
Yeah.
You should have just showed up looking like an average American who is pissed about this issue, not a Trump supporter who is once again going to defend our president no matter what he does.
And she's like, oh, I'm embarrassed to be a Michigander. I'm like, hey, well, good news. You're not. You just live here. You weren't born here. But, yeah, like, I'm just like, welcome. Like, why do you think I've been trying to leave since I've been 18? Like, this is, yeah. Like, it's because she's talking to a lot of her family and friends East Coast, and they're like, people in your state are fucking insane. Like, she's like, yeah. And I don't want to be in the house till September, man. 2 weeks, we're going to hear about spikes in Michigan. We're going to hear it. We're poised to get everything probably going mid-May to at least start easing things up. And now we're going to be in the house till fucking, sorry. I feel like I complain in a loop sometimes. And just seeing all these people nationally, knocking it off.
These protests have now spread to Florida, North Carolina, Virginia.
Florida, just open their beaches up again.
Minnesota, Idaho, Kentucky, California.
Come on, Florida. Why do you open up the beaches again? Why? We can't wait another couple weeks. This is ridiculous to me. This is now feelings trying to trump science on the other side of the political spectrum. It didn't work on the left side. It's not going to work on the right side. No matter how you feel, science always wins.
Right. Well, it's not very well thought through either, because if you believe that the response is overhyped, that coronavirus is some sort of hoax or just itself has been overhyped, then what's the ulterior motive here? What's the end game for the Democrats in keeping our economy shut down longer?
Exactly.
Do they want to ruin the economy? Is this their chance to keep the beaches shut down permanently? Something that they've always had on their agenda? What is the fucking end game here?
And for those of you entertaining some kind of fantasy that this is some crazy scenario to get Trump out of office, no, think about it, because if this gets exposed that this was an actual, like, a premeditated thing, No Democrat will ever hold any office ever again anywhere. So just get that scenario out of your head. That is ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and this idea that Democrats would relish the economy downturn in order to get rid of Trump, that people would actively work towards trying to ruin our economy just to remove him from office, is just not the case.
Yeah, that is insanity.
Like people don't think like that. If you said to people, okay, Trump's going to be president for as long as we do this, and here's the plan. You can remove Trump as the president by giving up 10% of your paycheck total, like forever. You take a 10% decrease, a pay cut across the board, and then we get rid of Trump. That's the deal.
No.
Trump would be president forever. Just at that time, even at 5%, I think Trump would be president forever. People would not willingly give up their own money.
Well, no, just to do you're telling me to what? Take a pay cut for something that's going to be 8 years of my life?
All I'm saying is, if you could make less money and that means that Trump is removed from office, nobody's making that decision.
Yeah, well, you said rest of my life. Yeah, I'm 40, so you're asking me for something that's going to be another 5 years of my life tops to take it for 25 years more pay cut? No, that's just, yeah, you're right. Correct. So it's,
this idea that ruining the economy is a good way, the Democrats look at that as a good way to remove the president.
If you believe that, you've seen too many fucking James Bond movies.
Yeah.
Like, you think there's someone somewhere petting a cat going, excellent, my plan is working. No! Nobody planned this shit. Maybe.
Nobody planned it, nobody wants it, nobody welcomes it.
No matter what we say we're investigating in Wuhan, no one planned this shit. All right, what if Fauci said, read article, he said, this everything that says this is consistent with something jumping from an animal to a human. This is not, this wasn't concocted in a lab. I can't believe we're actually suggesting this. Like I said, what's next? The task force for Pizzagate?
Yeah, and this is another thing that Trump is playing pretty savvy. He's got the intelligence agencies looking into the idea that China was developing this in a lab and it released somehow. But I shouldn't say there's been no proof because I don't work in any of these agencies. I can't know. But if there has been any proof, it hasn't been presented. Yeah. There's just been a theory. Like somebody who worked in a lab somewhere could have, got exposed and left the lab and that's how it spread. But that's like, I've seen movies, right? I know how this could happen if we're just imagining it. What's that?
I said, how Gwyneth Paltrow get it? What was that, Contagion?
Right. Yeah. So it's really nothing. I mean, there's been no show of any kind of proof. It's just something that they're looking into. I'm sure they're just looking into it under Trump's direction. Which
could just be someone making a phone call going, hey, all right, cool. Yeah, we looked into it, didn't find anything.
Yes.
When I say looking into it at my job, it means I got to call or email someone. That's it. I'm willing to bet in government it means the same thing. Yeah, I'm looking into it.
Meanwhile, I think it was at the presser that they did today, he was talking about how that Trump would have, that China would have major consequences if we found out that they, manufactured this in a lab, but then also says, well, but they could be innocent, right? This could all be nothing. So it's just another one of Trump's I'm hearing. People are saying this. Yeah, people say all kinds of shit. People say crazy shit.
He just loves stirring the pot.
Son of Sam's dog told him to kill people.
Yeah.
What's your fucking point that people are saying this? So, but we know what his point is. He wants people to spread these stories around, but he doesn't want to be the source of them.
Yeah.
Very savvy in that way.
Make sure you spell his name right. I think that's really where he's coming from with most of the shit that he does. He is from the there is no bad press school. As long as you are talking about him, that's all he cares about.
But for the most part, I watched a little bit of today's press briefing, and I was trying to figure out if it was a rerun or not. I'm like, haven't I seen this already?
Yeah.
Especially the Pence part. The Pence parts are getting really repetitive.
Yeah.
And he gets up there and he said, I'm like, isn't this the same thing that you said a week ago? We tested 4 million people. We test 1 million people a week. That was a week ago. So shouldn't it be 5 now that you're telling me that we've 5 million people that we've tested now?
Yeah. And he's always holding his fucking, I'm telling you, he had to come up with those guidelines. He's always holding them. He had to have a part in that.
Oh, he's really proud of that. Yeah. The phased, rollout thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh no, the guidelines. They were 15 days, and then they were renewed. The social distancing guidelines, the president's guidelines for
Oh, okay.
But he said, 1 million people a week. Ooh, so by 2026, we'll all be tested.
Right.
No, let's hurt. What happened to Abbott Labs? They can't make those fast enough? Those 15-minute tests? I heard that there was a saliva test developed.
Yep.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, but I mean, they just can't produce 1 million of those tests in a week. I don't know. Burke said that they're planning on doubling that. So we could get this down to 2023.
Cool. 2020. In 3 years, life will be back to normal, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, by then,
that's what we're really looking at here, isn't it? I mean, we might see this ebb and flow, but we will not get rid of this completely until we can, first of all, test everyone. That's the first step to controlling all this.
Yeah. And, but by then too, what they're saying a year and a vaccine. So 2 years from now, 2 years after we'll allegedly have a vaccine, everyone will be tested.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
And now a game of Commercial Chicken, brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
Okay, so, did you see that game the other day? The refs, right? I mean, come on. They were totally out to get us. That always happens to our team. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. You heard that safe drivers get rewarded with Snapshot from Progressive, so you went online to check it out. But then you saw an ad for a vintage baseball cap, and now you find yourself checking the stats of that team's second baseman in '97, wondering why his stolen base total dropped after his rookie season. Wonder how much his rookie card is worth. Yes, they said it was easy to save money with Snapshot from Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California, North Carolina, or from all agents.
ChristopherMedia.net. Unregimented.
You know, speaking of Fauci and Birx, there's still a lot of Fire Fauci hashtags going around. And now on top of that, the liberals are starting to jump on Birx because parts of her message are too close to what Trump is saying. So they're looking at her as some sort of Trump shill now.
Neat.
You really need to stop trying to play the doctors off of each other and off of the White House.
Yeah.
Like we know what Trump is. We understand he's a loose cannon. He's not going to be able to be controlled. He's going to say whatever he's going to say. Trump's going to have his own message regardless of what pandemic response team says. But
yeah, he's going to go on Twitter too. And whatever he said, regardless of what he says on the mic, he's going to go on Twitter at night and just do what he does.
Yeah. And the people who pay attention to Trump will pay attention to Trump, and the rest won't. The rest of us just want to hear from the doctors. So quit trying to politicize Fauci and Birx.
Yeah. In the end, they're scientists. MD stands for medical doctor.
I mean, I saw this story on CNN that liberals were criticizing, and I can't remember. It was one specific point that she was saying about about getting back to, some areas are going to start opening up the economy starting May 1st and doing this phased rollout thing or ramp up thing. And she was talking, so what she was saying was in line more with what Trump was saying than with what like Fauci was saying. So I read that and I said to myself, "Oh, has she turned? Is she like perfectly aligned herself with Trump on these issues. So I just searched her name, did Google search for news, Birx, and found all the quotes that from all the, news shows that she's done and the pressers and all that stuff. None of the rest of it's changed. Yeah.
Well, and then she probably said it before he started saying it, like the things that were being cited that day. Because a lot of times too, he parrots what she's been saying. Previous that what both of them have been saying on that day while they've been giving their interviews before this thing. And she's always been a proponent of you have to look at this thing county by county. Because that's generally how it's being looked at. And yeah, I'm willing to bet there's some counties in the middle of the country, or probably even in Michigan, where this thing hasn't touched, or if it has, it's been minimal, and they can probably start going back to normal. But I bet you we're a long way off for Wayne County. I bet you New York City is a long way off.
That's what it was. I found it. So she's with Trump on the idea that the WHO didn't give the U.S. all of the information that they should have.
Wait, yeah, did you see they came out over, China came out over the weekend and up their body count in Wuhan by 50%?
Yeah.
They go, yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, that really, that fucks with that 2% mortality rate we all went into this thing with. That puts it more in line with where it's at now. It's been around 4 or 5 the whole time.
Yeah, so she was aligning herself with Trump over this issue of that the WHO is partially to blame for this and China's partially to blame for this, not the idea that the U.S. ignored warnings early on from the WHO and from China. So that's a big debate there. But again, does that change her overall message of how to handle this? No. She was asked about, well, do you support reopening the economy on May 1st? And she said, no, we've laid out guidelines. This is up to the governors. They have to have a 14-day streak of declining cases before they can even consider doing that. So she hasn't changed her message. And if liberals are looking for somebody else to attack, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. These are the people we're looking to in this right now. I mean, and that's how I can tell we're slowly heading back towards the light. Is the stories in my Google News feed yesterday and today are starting to get a lot more political again. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, we're starting to.
So anyway, they're working on another round of funding for small businesses. Looks like they're getting close to coming to an agreement on that.
Good.
We might see that wrapped up by next week, and this would mean, among other things, primarily what most people are concerned about is refunding the payroll protection plan.
Yeah. I mean,
which there's been a lot of criticism of, because a lot of people are saying that that major like restaurant chains and stuff like that were eating up a lot of that money.
No, they're franchisees. That's what people don't understand.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, they were saying, oh, McDonald's is taking up X amount of percentage of this money. And I'm like, well, yeah, there's a lot of small business people who own McDonald's franchises.
Yes, that's my life when I'm not doing this. Yes, that's
right. Not McDonald's specifically, but small business franchises.
I work with franchisees of a chain. That's what they,
and that's way more a chunk of change in the economy than your mom and pop diner.
Yes, these are people's livelihoods. They're giving up a small piece of the money they make so they can survive.
Drive down a major street in your city, point out the restaurants. Almost all of those fast food restaurants are owned by small business people.
Yes, because if they tried to start Joe's Hamburgers or Bob's Pizza Place, they'd be done in a year.
Yeah. So I know it looks like corporate America is taking over and they're eating up all these coronavirus funds, but that's all small business.
And the other thing that bugs me too that I've been hearing people complain about, oh, well, banks took care of their regular customers first. Yeah, that's what businesses do.
Yes. Wouldn't you be pissed if you had a long-term relationship with your bank? You were on good terms. You're paying everything on time. You went to them and said, hey, there's this federal relief that I want to get into. And they said, we're really prioritizing people that we have no business history with first because they need an opportunity.
Yeah.
So why don't you get to the back of the line, and all of your paying on time and history with us means shit.
Yeah.
That's not how relationships work.
Yeah. We know you've been with us for 25 years, but this guy has been with us for 6 months. We're taking care of him first. You would pull your money out of that bank so fucking fast. Like, that's not how customer service works, people. I'm sorry, customer service isn't woke. Customer stuff, for something like that, it is, you can literally put a dollar amount on it. In a situation like that, this person has given us X amount of money of business over the years. Yeah. They get priority. But it just still blows my mind. 350 billion. Poof.
Yeah, 350, and they're saying this.
Like nothing.
The plan that they're putting together is 400 billion. I don't know exactly how that is sliced up. It was my understanding that there's more than just the PPP that they're funding with this 400 billion. So I don't know how much of this 400 bill goes to the PPP, or if this is mostly for that. I don't know. But even if it's all of it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before it's gone?
No, it wasn't 2 weeks. It was 13
That's what I'm saying.
days.
It was 13 days with the last one. If this 400 billion is all for PPP, it'll still be gone in 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's insane. That's good. Means we got a lot of small businesses in this country.
Yeah.
But a lot of them aren't gonna. For a lot of these, though, the PPP is just delaying the inevitable. For some of these,
well, it might even salvage businesses that were on the edge, give them a chance to catch their breath and actually be profitable again. But yeah, mismanaged businesses will continue to fail because a sudden influx in cash will only temporarily sustain you if you're continually mismanaged. Yeah. You will find ways to piss that money away again. Yeah, you in a hurry.
Eventually have to generate your own revenue.
Yeah.
That's how this works. But man, because there's some guys that I like working with, and I'm like, man, you're not going to see the end of the year. Like they're nice, they're nice guys, but they're not great. They're not great business managers. And this did not help. And yeah, I got screenshots of some from their banks that were pretty much sent emails that said, "Hey, we're out of money. Sorry, we didn't get any money. PPP ran out of money, and you didn't get any." Like they should have just replied with the guy shrugging his shoulders emoji. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yep. It would be Moneybag. What's the guy from the Monopoly?
Oh, the Monopoly
game?
Guy.
Right, and he's got his pockets inside out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I think it's on like a chance card or something. Mm-hmm. There's a picture of him pulling his pockets out like, hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's like when you go bankrupt or something like that.
So there's been some bills that have been tossed around in the House by Democrats for more support for individuals. I totally believe that they're doing the right thing funding the small businesses. But if you don't have people with money to spend at those small businesses, then you haven't really done anything, right? Mm-hmm. You can allow a comic book shop or a restaurant or an independent clothing store to remain open, but that's a short-term thing if they don't get people in the doors with some disposable income to throw around.
Also, too, let's be honest. We're fortunate enough. We've been able to work through all this. Some people have had their revenue just stopped a month ago.
Yes.
They got bills to pay, and at $1,200 is nice. Cool, you caught me up to a month ago. Now what am I going to do for right now?
My God, did you hear about Mnuchin? He was like, well, we're doing a lot for individuals. This $1,200 stimulus check that we sent out should last most Americans 10 weeks.
What? Bro, that's
10 weeks.
That's my entire monthly nut, Holmes. Like, what? Or no, that's not even my that's all. No, I'm still short. I'm way short. Never mind.
You're short. Yes.
Yeah.
You're way short. He thinks that the average American is able to survive on $120 a week.
In 1920.
Right. Or when I was 14 and got my first dishwashing job.
Yeah, exactly. When someone else
lived at home.
Yeah, was paying for where I lived and bought all my food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, $120 a week, I was fucking rich.
Yeah, you bought my weed, bought my cigarettes. That's all I needed. Paid for my pager.
I was like, please, 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 gentlemen, the Taco Bell's on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your money's no good here.
You can get the Supreme. Go nuts.
Yes. We need double beef for everyone. All around a double beef.
Well,
for the restaurant.
Like anyone who's made outrageous claims in the last few weeks, I'll say it to you, Mnuchin. You go first. You try it.
Yeah.
Knock yourself out.
Yeah, so there's some Democrats that have been putting together plans. One of them, Ilhan Omar, has been talking about a 1-year suspension of mortgage and rent, which I can get behind.
I'm with that too. But
or not even, I shouldn't even say suspension. Right? And, not having read the language in these bills, we don't know exactly what this looks like or what it would even end up looking like if it does get voted through.
Probably deferment.
These have not been voted on and left the House.
Yeah.
But the language that was used in the stories reporting about it wasn't talking about really a suspension, just complete forgiveness.
Yeah.
So what that looks like, whether the state or the federal government chips in somehow to keep landlords whole, because I like the idea of not having to pay rent for a period to allow me to catch up. That's great. And certainly there's other people who are in worse situations than me that would mean not just be a cool thing, it would make a world of difference. It would mean the difference between their family having a place to live and not. So there's definitely some people who would seriously need this. But I'm not in favor of doing that if it means that all of the landlords go bankrupt or the business of being a landlord becomes so unprofitable that people don't want to do it anymore, because we are going to need landlords, right?
Which, yeah, by the way, I have actual...
It's not like everyone who suddenly can't find a house to rent just goes and buys a house.
I have reaction from the banks on this actual subject.
What are you, fucking stupid?
Yeah.
It depends on what it looks like, right? I mean, maybe are the landlords made whole, or are the banks made whole?
That's what I'm saying. I'm sure the bank lobbyists are probably like, "Are you high? This is how banks exist, off interest."
Right.
But saying we're not collecting revenue for a year. Are we going to funnel a whole bunch of money at the banks to make up for the year they're not going to make any money?
Well, right. But you still have to have a landlord. You can't just cut out the landlord and then just make the bank whole. Mm-hmm. So it would have to involve some way of making the landlord whole, or at least making it sustainable for them, which would then mean that the banks would remain in business. They would still get, their money.
There's just, I mean, I like how the sound of that, but there's too many people in that chain that got to get paid.
Yeah.
For that to be realistic.
I think if we did end up seeing anything like this, I doubt it would be the across the board type of stimulus funding that they're pushing out now. This would be more like a program that we saw after the market crash in 2008, and granted, maybe that's not the best example. Well, maybe it is a good example, because that was kind of fucked up. Like, a lot of people still lost their homes. It didn't seem to prevent a lot of foreclosures on homes. But yeah, I would imagine still it would be a program. You'd have to prove that you lost a job or lost income due to coronavirus. I don't think it would just be like, like I said, I'd like to stop paying my rent. That would be great. But I also am still working, and times have been tough, honestly, for me going into this. So any chance that I can get to take advantage of this situation and allow me to catch up, I'm going to. But I'm not saying that I need a year's worth of rent forgiveness either.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I could get a month forgiven, that would change my situation considerably. And if there was a program that would allow that, I think that would change it for a lot of people, Sure, there's some people who are going to be destitute in this situation. I think the majority, it's just they're not going to ever be able to catch up, right? You have what most Americans have, no more than $400 worth of savings. So that doesn't last them more than a week. Not even once you've lost your job. So there's going to be a lot of people who are, just in complete destitution, obviously.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Sure, the players bring some skill to the game, but if I don't put them in my lineup, who cares? Not me. I'm Eric Rubino, fantasy baseball GM and league runner-up 2 of the last 9 years. I use the Progressive Name Your Price tool with options based on my budget. And for a guy that's used to being in control, it fits. Like this runner-up t-shirt. Champ gets a trophy, but you can't wear a trophy. Boom.
Get options based on your budget with Progressive, even if you're not a legend in your own mind. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Reinvent yourself at UCLA Extension. Explore continuing education programs to enhance and expand your skill set. Gain real-world skills taught by industry experts that you can apply immediately. Learn from anywhere and choose from a wide variety of online courses in entertainment, digital technology, business, engineering, and more. Winter quarter begins January 4th. Learn more at uclaextension.edu.
ChristopherMedia.net. Unregimented.
But anyway, I forgot what my major point was. I'm rambling now. But the other thing, so that was kind of interesting. I think the one that's getting a little more attention, and I think we might have a higher chance of actually getting approved. The other one is that they're talking about, I think it was representatives from Ohio and California that had put together a bill proposing $2,000 a month to every American.
I can dig it.
And you don't have to pay it back. It's not any kind of loan. It's not income that you have to report and get taxed on. It would be for all Americans pretty much, even those who didn't qualify for the $1,200 stimulus, namely people who were claimed as dependents on other people's tax returns. So the stimulus money was directly tied to tax returns and taxable income and all that. This would just be, as long as you make under a certain, I think it was like $130,000 a year as a single filing individual. As long as you made under that, you would get $2,000 a month for a period of at least 6 months, but basically until this pandemic is over. As long as the economic impact of the pandemic is felt, these stimulus checks would be in place. So this is universal basic income, right? That's exactly what it is.
Fucking take that shit. That's free paycheck, extra paycheck that I don't have to pay my health insurance on or my retirement out of. Done. Mm-hmm. Ship it. Sure, why not? I just wonder, we are throwing around a ton of money. The Dr. Drew quote of "there's no free lunches in nature" just keeps batting around in my head. And I'm not saying necessarily there'll be individual responsibility for us. Just the gold standard's been dead for a while, right? As far as...
we make money... We get money based off of the idea that we are going to be around to pay it back. That's it. So as long as people think that the idea of America is a sustainable one and that we will continue to be powerful and money producing, we can get as much money as we need, honestly.
Okay.
There's not going to be a point of running out of money.
All right. Cool. It just makes me wonder, man. It just makes, because the terms to get the PPP money were ridiculously easy. Like, I could have probably fudged something for Christopher Media if I wanted to get a bunch of money. I did not, for the record. But that's how easy it was to get money for the PPP. Like, and everyone just got, I woke up, made $1,200 the other day. It just makes me wonder, man. Like, where that's gonna come due somehow, some way. It's something I've just started thinking about. But yeah, I guess you're right. There's no more gold standard, so
yeah, the system isn't based on any sort of resource.
Are you telling me it's all built now on, hey, we're good for it?
Yes.
It's all built like the suitcase in Dumb and Dumber.
It's all built on the U.S. having essentially a credit score, and that
wasn't it lowered a little bit ago? I remember reading a story about that. The United States credit rating got lowered. It was a couple years ago.
Yes. Yeah, but interest rates are practically zero, and like a lowered credit score doesn't mean that we're going to disappear, right? Like as long as the country is, as long as we don't fall into civil war, then we will be fully funded. And even then, whoever the side that the majority of the world thinks would win the civil war would continue to be fully funded, because at some point there would be a victor and a dominant force in the country that would continue to produce people, goods, and other things that the world needs.
I would want to be on the side that makes sure my paychecks keep clearing.
So,
whichever side that is.
So the U.S. is the ultimate too big to fail.
Let's hope, because man, we're
the dominant power. The whole world's economy would have to collapse completely for us to fail.
I guess the other,
and even then, I mean, I don't know.
The other thought I do
keep far out there.
Keep having in connection with this thought is we are going to see an unprecedented economic event once this is all over, and like in a good way. Like we're going to see like the opposite of a depression, I think, in the near future. Maybe that can be anywhere from 6 months to a year, but like there's going to be a historic snapback.
Yeah, I think that you're going to see it. You're going to see miniature versions of that. There's going to be certain things that will just explode and others that don't, because there's not going to suddenly be more money, more expendable income on the other side of this crisis. There will just be some available expendable income. So obviously your necessities like groceries and gas and all that stuff will just explode. That's going to go through the roof, absolutely. But and other things like that they can kind of more easily get their hands around, like restaurants. You know, you test your employees, you push the tables a little further apart, and everyone's happy. Those businesses will explode.
Yeah, I think
the other things that we've talked about that would have less opportunities to do social distancing and the same type of business that they've done, like major venues, sporting events, movie theaters, stuff like that, those are going to see a very slow ramp up that is going to end up in a major restructuring still.
Well, I think get used to having your temperature taken. If you're going to go, if you're going out to a restaurant, you're going to go to a sporting event, you're going to go to a concert, and after the metal detector is going to be the person taking your temperature.
Yeah. And all this give me liberty or give me death protests that have been over, not being able to go and buy seeds at the garden store.
Give me life.
This is going to be the real test of how much you value your liberty, because the best long-term plan to stop this is the testing, the preventative types of, not just like direct testing for coronavirus, but like you said, the temperature taking, the travel logs, and all of this can easily be done through our phones and wearables.
Yeah.
So we're going to be looking at it's.
Well, they're doing it now. We just choose to believe it's not being done. We just say, right. Apple Health is monitoring my steps.
Here's the difference. The government is not saying you need to have one of these devices and you need to monitor and we need that information, right? But that doesn't mean that the end result is any different, because if you have a system set up where businesses are saying, hey, if you own a smartphone that tracks your progress and reports to this app that looks at coronavirus outbreak or whatever, if you have that app registered on your smartphone, you're a registered user, and you have a smartwatch that can not regulate your temperature, but that can monitor your temperature, then you will have access to this music venue or this restaurant or whatever. It might just be a case where you will be closed off to certain things in society unless you choose to self-monitor and report these results. So it's really no different. then, it's like, what we see in the Black Mirror episodes, you have like a social credit rating. Mm-hmm. And this would be the same thing, only your social credit would be based upon not just your health, but how much of your health information you're willing to give up to the public.
Yeah. And I'm talking everywhere. I'm talking when you go to work. I'm talking, there's going to be someone taking your temperature fucking everywhere now. That's until there's a vaccine.
Well, if you work in a place where you're in contact with the public on a regular basis, absolutely. That being said, I can see a lot of, smaller businesses that don't deal with the public still taking it upon themselves and going, hey, I just want everybody to report these things to me, every week, fill out your travel log. Every day, fill out your temperature log.
Yeah.
And again, if you're writing it down on a piece of paper means nothing. Anyone could make up a number and fill out a log. How many of us have been in a school or job situation where they were like, oh, you didn't turn in your blah log, and you're like, okay, I'll just fill it all out now.
Yep.
Let's see. It sounds like I did this for 4 hours on Monday, and I did that for a couple hours Tuesday. It's the actual wearing of the smartwatch or the Fitbit, having a smartphone that transmits this data, the stuff that you're not going to be able to fudge. That's going to be part of our social currency going forward. We're going to have to, if we want to enjoy all the same freedoms of travel and experiences and purchasing things that everybody else does, then we're going to have to give up the same information that everybody else does.
Oh, you know what this is going to mean?
And this isn't outrageous. I mean, we've done this already with the internet. We've had this exchange of information. We're willingly giving up our personal information to get access to things online.
You know what this is going to mean? This is going to mean biometrics coming back to the iPhone.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot
there's been a lot of pushback against it with the, we have more and more devices that want to monitor different things about us, and we've started to get more restrictive about what types of health information we want out there and all this HIPAA stuff. All that is going to be upended, and we're going to have to look at it through a new lens of preventing pandemic.
Yeah. Until there's a vaccine. Hey, by the way, I was at Walmart the other day, made one of my bi-weekly shopping trips, and just walked by a entire, half a section of American flags. Almost took a picture and sent it to you guys. It'd have been like a joke for 3.
Available. Were they roped off or not?
Oh, no. I could have bought,
were there state police mounted at every corner of the display preventing you from purchasing one?
Because it wasn't in that it was in a section. It was in, the hardware section.
Right.
Because, I had to get some shit for the bathroom. And, there's right there. Boom. There was a section of the store that was roped, that had, the caution tape over it. I think it was, the lawn and garden section. But, it's at this Walmart, all the American flags were in the hardware section. So there you go, everybody. They're not, can't buy them. She said we can't buy a flag. No, she didn't.
Nobody said that. Yeah. Yeah, I did. I actually got to do my grocery shopping. I stocked up yesterday. My ex came and picked me up and took me shopping since my car is still non-functional. And she wanted to go to this place down in Mexican Town. They have a really nice grocery store. It gets really great deals on meat and produce. And I was like, that's a great idea because I love Mexican food. And most of my grocery shopping these days is meat and produce. I'm buying very little frozen and processed foods these days. So I was looking forward to this. I'm like, this is great. I get to stock up on a lot of great fresh foods. I'm going to make some awesome meals. And I got to this place and, first of all, they're doing all the social distancing, right? So they're only letting one per household in. Everyone's got their masks on and everything. And I'm trying to navigate through this place and I've never been there and I don't know where anything is. And I just have a mini panic attack in the place. I basically left my cart and
because
ran out.
Because I was telling Mandy about this the other day when I was at Walmart. it's been 6 weeks. How do people not understand quick, deliberate movements? All right. First of all, and it like when you do have to stop and look, it's the feeling of when you were playing sports in the street when you were a kid. Like, it's a feeling like, oh, there's a person comes in the aisle. It's like, oh, there's a car coming. Shit.
Yeah.
That's the feeling you get now.
Right. So I was in there, like, I couldn't find anything. I didn't know what I wanted. I realized, like, if this would be different if this wasn't under a pandemic.
Yeah.
I would take an hour and I would go up and down the aisles and think about things and come up with ideas for meals.
Well,
but I was just like, I saw all these people who were like, there was one person who was trying to get as many groceries as they can to feed a family of probably 6 or 7.
Oh, gee. Well, because everyone too just got $1,200 last week too, so free groceries.
Right, and this is their neighborhood grocery. Like, we went there with the idea of not only do they have good selection of produce and meat, but they also seem to be not as completely packed as a lot of the grocery stores were in the downtown and the suburbs where we are, which was true. But yeah, also I just felt like I was in the way. Like, I just need to get the fuck out of there.
Well, yeah,
she did her shopping and then came out, and I'm just standing there empty handed. She's like, "What the fuck happened?" I'm like, "I don't know."
When I hear,
I honestly don't know. Can we just go to Aldi's? I can run that thing like a supermarket gauntlet. I'm like supermarket sweepstakes through that fucking shit. I'm in and out of there in 15 minutes with like $80 worth of groceries.
I understand this feeling because at Walmart, I went there because my mom needed a prescription. I got it there. I was like, what? I'm not going out again tomorrow because I did this yesterday. Like, I'll just do it today. And yeah, like, it's not, I go into the Kroger by here, dude. I could do it blindfolded. All right.
Yeah.
I know where everything is, but this thing, I'm like, I don't know where shit is. It's new. It's a foreign store to me. So, and two, just keep it in line with the quick, deliberate movements. I don't want to be that guy. So just, if I couldn't find it on my first pass, well, we're going to loop back around and we're going to try to get it again on the second pass. Like,
yeah. I have my Aldi's trips are now planned out. Like I said this before, I have one that very close to me, and when I had a working vehicle, I was stopping all the time. So it was just no big deal. Pick up a few things here or there. Now I have to get everything in one go, obviously, like everybody else does. So I know the layout of that store so perfectly, and I have my shopping habits so down that I'll make an initial list of just everything that I need as it comes to me. And then on the column on the right-hand side of that piece of paper, I then make that same list in order in the store. So I can run that first aisle. I know here's where the chips and the pretzels and the cereals at the end and the pancake stuff. And then at the end of that is the dairy. And I have my list in order.
When Mandy gives me a list, I do that on the iPhone, though. I do that I used to do it in the reminders, but then they redid them, and it's hard to use now, and it's dumb.
Yeah.
But I do it in the notes function, because I put the check bar, I put the little, the thing where you can check them off by them, right? And then I will arrange the list in the order of by where I walk in, of just going from, all right, boom, 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 boom. She comes, wow, she comes back, wow, that was quick. It's like, damn right it was quick. It's efficient, because I don't want to fucking be there.
Yeah.
But now, the last month, grocery shopping has just turned into, I've told her the last month, I've told her, you can give me a list, but there is now the general disclaimer of no promises. So last month, it's just been like, I go up and down the aisle, and whatever is there that we eat, I grab.
Yeah. All these I haven't had a problem. The paper products are still pretty scarce over there, but everything else has been well stocked, even the eggs and dairy and whatnot.
Well, I can tell you, it's the smaller stores that are, because I got a backup grocery store at 16 and Harper. It used to be a Farmer Jack. It's not a big chain. So you can go in there and you can generally get what you want, even toilet paper. So that's generally where I've been going.
That's your secret spot.
And I've learned the layout of that one too. But still, again, like I said, I was in this Walmart. I was all discombobulated. Like, I know where nothing is.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you're under pressure now at the grocery store because you don't want to stop. And then there's the assholes that stop and act like nothing's going on, or the people that stop in the middle of the aisle where you're like, this aisle is 10 feet wide and you are managing to take up all of it. You are an asshole. Like, just move to like when I stop, I make sure I put my card to the side. And I make sure that I make sure my body language is indicating to people like I'm in a hurry and I will be getting out of the way shortly. Like
I was full on yelling at people in Aldi's yesterday. No, here's what happened. So it used to be everyone would get in, there'd be a couple lines open and everyone gets into their own lane, like normal, like any other grocery store. Now it's one line that then feeds all the individual lines because they have to stop people from just piling their groceries onto the conveyor belt while they're still checking out the person in front of them. Mm-hmm. And which all of a sudden everyone wants to do in Aldi's now. Like it used to be every time I'd go to Aldi's, there would be one dude, usually the person in front of me, who was strangely waiting for the conveyor belt to empty before he placed anything on it.
Yeah.
And fucking up the speed. But anyway, I digress. So we're in the long line waiting to feed each individual register, right? And there's a couple in there, an older couple, and they've each got their own cart because they want to buy, 4 cartons of eggs, and it limits 2. And then it turns out they've got their daughter with them too. And they're going back and forth, like the daughter comes up and is like, I don't know, I couldn't tell anybody's nationality. All I knew, everyone had dark hair, everyone had masks on. But they were speaking not English and going back and forth about something, and then the daughter would run off and she'd come back with something else. She hears some bag of flour. She'd run off again. She'd grab some cheese. And then she'd take some other stuff from the cart and she'd take that back and she'd come back with other stuff. And they're having these conversations. And meanwhile, like the line is progressing and these gaps are opening up in between while they have this conversation. So there's like now 20 feet between them and the next person in line. And other people are starting to pull up and go like, where does this line start? And where do I get? I had it. I was like, what are we doing, people? Are you shopping or are you in line? If you're in line, please move up. If you're still shopping, please exit the line and shop and come back when you're done. And everyone's looking at me like I'm an employee. And I'm like, no, I'm just a sane person.
Yeah, I'm just a person who doesn't have time for this shit. Yeah, no, trust me too. And I usually have my headphones on, and I know, I think I'm probably saying things under my breath, and they're probably very audible.
Right. Yeah.
Because too, like that's, and too, well, it's funny. I look hilarious because I will put on my glasses, I'll put on my Scully, and I got a surgical mask that my mom still had. She had some masks laying around from when my dad was still sick. Mm-hmm. So, like, yeah, I look like fucking Sub-Zero walking into the grocery store.
I have my Fender skull cap, and I have the top half of a V-neck Calvin Klein T-shirt that had a hole in it on the bottom half. So I cut off the top half. And I wrap that around and just tie the arms in the back of the head. It works really great as a mask. And then my prescription glasses, which completely fog up, so you can't see my eyes at all.
Yeah, that's the tough part of the glasses. Yeah. I
feel like I'm a Cobra grunt.
Yeah, right. And yeah, again, if I'm a clerk, if I'm anywhere with a cash register, I'm just I'm on Prozac at this point. I think everyone's here to rob me, and I'm eventually just going to get sick. Feel for those people. All right. Well, this is like what week? For me, this is week 6 of working from home. So yeah, we're a month and a half into this, huh?
Yeah, and there's going to be a phased rollout, reopen, I should say. Possibly starting May 1st in our state, but I expect to still be working from home. I know the border shutdown for non-essential workers between Canada and U.S. has been extended another month, so that's going to go all the way through May. And I have, anybody who works in the automotive industry is working with Canada as well. There's a lot of people who come over from Canada to work in the Detroit area.
I just know I work in a building with hundreds of people in Wayne County. It's going to be a minute for me.
Yeah.
And then, too, I have no idea how my job involves travel. I have no idea how this goes moving forward. Yeah. That's why I don't make the big bucks. Someone else's job to figure this out.
for as long as we're stuck at home, we're going to be doing this podcast, and we'll see what happens from there.
Every day. I joked with Mandy. I put on my robe before I came down. It feels like it's my work week outfit. Like I feel like I took it off for the weekend and I put it back on. Oh yeah, it's my Monday through Friday attire. Putting my robe back on.
Put the robe on, make yourself a white Russian. Time to go to work.
Right. But yeah, so that's it for Monday. We're back at I feel like changing my Facebook picture to Phil Connors, right? We're all essentially just living the same day over and over again, but
yes,
it's been an interesting spring. But there's signs that things are. It seems like we've gone over the top of the hill, and that's good. So, as long as we're doing this, we'll be. As long as we're all working from home, we'll be doing this. So thanks everybody for listening. We're on Twitter at UnregimentedPod, on Instagram at Unregimented. Email is unregimented@ChristopherMedia.net, where there is a PayPal button, where there is an Amazon banner if you feel like helping us out. You can listen at Spreaker.com, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio app, Stitcher, ChristopherMedia.net, and anywhere that has a podcast you can listen to us. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
See ya.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Yeah, sure, the players bring some skill to the game, but if I don't put them in my lineup, who cares? Not me. I'm Eric Rubino, fantasy baseball GM and league runner-up 2 of the last 9 years. I use the Progressive Name Your Price tool with options based on my budget. And for a guy that's used to being in control, it fits. Like this runner-up t-shirt. Champ gets a trophy, but you can't wear a trophy. Boom.
Get options based on your budget with Progressive, even if you're not a legend in your own mind. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
ChristopherMedia.net. If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.